If people literally have $50 million in a bank account and that bank fails, do they literally just get a literal check from the FTIC for $250k and literally that's it? Pretty much yeah, but that's why they don't keep that sort of money in the bank. So like you're a pro athlete, you get a $15 million signing bonus. Where do you keep it? You invested in things. People with that sort of money will be paying someone to look after the investments for them, so they make even more money, rather than it sitting at risk in a bank not earning. Literally. Quite literally. Literally quite literally. Literally quite literally literal. Just how literal are we talking, pre or post figurative literal here? Pretty much. If a financial institution fails, you're insured up to the $250k. The FTIC will then sell of the failed bank's assets and distribute funds accordingly to make up for the loss of funds for $250k, but it's no guarantee. As someone else mentioned, a lot of people will split funds between financial institutions to get full coverage. Then KUA covers credit unions. So Tom Brady gets paid millions each year, even if he used Chase, BOA, 5/3 all those nationally huge banks even using a bunch, there's still millions in each account. Nobody with more than a few 10,000s lets it rot in a savings account. Check out r/personal finance if you want to really learn the specifics of what's possible / recommended. I do. Because I'm an idiot who got a good paying loan for being nearly homeless, and I know fuck all about money. If a bank collapses, it'll still have assets. It might only be the copper in the walls, but it'll be something. These assets get split up hierarchically. Everyone in the top tier gets an equal share until they're paid off. Then if there is anything left, the next tier gets that split evenly. Then if there's anything left, the next tier gets a share, and so on. Level 1 is secured creditors, people who lend money to the bank and get hard assets like building deeds as guarantees for that loan. They get paid the assets they are owed. Level 2 is FTIC secured depositors up to their $250k limit only. The government guarantees this if the assets don't go that far. Level 3 is all other depositors, so your millionaire has $250k at level 2 and $49,750 meters at level 3. Level 4 is tier 1 bonds. Senior unsecured bonds. Level 5 is tier 2 bonds. These are usually bail-enabled bonds, meaning there is a rule in the terms and conditions that if the bank starts to fail, i.e. doesn't meet performance targets in its financial statements, these bonds must be written off, or that the lender must lend more. Either way, the lender gets shares as compensation. Some tier 2 bonds aren't bail-enabled. They're just lower tier by the rules of the bond. As these are lower ranked than tier 1, they always pay higher interest. Level 6 is shareholders. If everyone else has been paid, the shareholders get to split whatever is left. I'll note that securities underwritten by depositor loans are much riskier than Wall Street realizes. Only a tiny fraction of the security is government backed. Major hedge funds buy financial assets that are backed by those deposits, thinking that they're FTIC guaranteed, so it can't possibly go wrong. It very much can, as only a small fraction of the deposits are FTIC guaranteed. Very few traders understand this, and B, in exchange for offering the FTIC guarantee, the government is at level 1.5 and gets paid ahead of everyone else in the queue. No. My accounting professor made it very clear. The first tier is always the eyes. Always. If there can be any taxes owed, they must be recovered first. They would be level 2.5. Alien outranks everything, because you can't collect taxes on assets the bank doesn't own anymore, although they are rare on bank assets. Taxes on the assets would probably be transferred with the asset to the creditor though. I don't think you used literally nearly enough times. /s. Yes, that would be it. You should consider though, that if you had 50 meters in liquid assets, you would not be keeping them in a single bank account, or even in a single bank. That's hire an accounting firm and get them to handle your money levels of money. Yeah. A lot of Reddit seems to think that billionaires literally have their entire net worth in cash in their bank accounts. I've worked with billionaires and I know for a fact that a lot of their billions is in assets like shares. Their actual cash at hand is relatively modest save for the rare dividend payout. If you have mid 8 to low 9 figures in a bank, you are probably someone who won the lottery and or have no idea how to manage that kind of money. Jeff Bezos is a common figure that gets demonized on Reddit. A lot of Redditors don't understand theoretical net worth when most of what you have is stock options, and act like he has $100 billion in liquid cash sitting in a checking account in a bank someplace, and he's an asshole for not writing out a $10 billion or whatever check on that account to help the homeless. Literally yes. Quit saying the fucking word literally. Yeesh, that hurt to read. Hez doing his best. Forgot to switch to your alt account? Nope. So why are you referring to yourself as Gee? In Australia the federal government guarantees bank deposits up to a certain point. That way the government doesn't have to bail out a failed bank. They just reimburse the customers. That's exactly what Op is talking about. And his certain point are the 250k. Use the word literally a few more times, please. The answer is, people with $50 million don't keep them in a single bank account. The money is kept in many forms, and whatever cash equivalent assets they have would probably be spread over many banks. If someone did have 50 million in cash equivalent assets, they would definitely spread it around many banks to make sure all their money wasn't in one bank that could fail. I was literally just going to say that. Stop saying literally. Is there a minimum word count for submitting threads? Is there literally a literal minimum word count for literally submitting literal threads? Yes. In America you put it in a big bank like Wells Fargo or Chase. They are such big banks that the US government will guarantee all of it through a bailout. There are systematic risks to the entire global economy if they fail. AIG is a prime example. Over $180 billion spent saving the insurance giant, even though it's not a bank. Sure. But who puts all that money into a bank account? If you have that kind of cash, you should invest it. Realty, stocks, bonds, etc. You split it up and put in multiple banks. And your show barks. Never keep all of your eggs in one basket. I will never keep more than the insured amount in a single account for this exact reason. Granted, I doubt I will ever have that problem. But ya never know. Yes, and here it's 100k, that's why you need to use different banks. Literally. If all the major banks go tits up, you are probably going to have bigger problems than how much money you are owed. PPL insure the excess privately. Literally. Yep. You can have more than 250k insured at one banking institution though. It's all about ownership type. If you and your wife share a joint checking, you each are insured 250k, giving you 500k. Then, you and your wife can each have your own checking accounts, totaling up another 500k between you two. You can then get into irrevocable trust funds, with each beneficiary on the account having their own 250k insured limit. If planned properly, you and your wife can have 1 meter insured at one bank and possibly more. The super rich or elite have other ways around it. Not all are legal or ethical, but they do. Some use Swiss bank accounts and such. And unfortunately, yes, there are some who just leave the abundance of funds in their accounts and hope for the best. Addendum. Swiss banks, except some cantonal banks, that cannot fail, that go bust pay out a maximum 100 foot 000 CHF per customer. Say literally again. I fucking dare you. We gonna have a problem. Edit. I hope y'all who downvoted realize it was a joke. Right. Edit. I hope y'all who downvoted realize it was a joke. Right. Literally everyone knows it's a joke and literally no one cares. Well, you cared enough to downvote it. If I see a comment that I don't care about, I leave it. I don't usually downvote it for fun. Edit. Exhibitor. This one. I didn't downvote you, but yet I cared enough to reply. That's why you need multiple bank accounts. It's kind of a pain. 69th comment. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.